The Inevitable, Understanding the 12 Technological Forces That Will Shape Our Future by Kevin Kelly. Picture this. It's 1981, and a young writer has just gotten his hands on something everyone's been buzzing about, a computer, an Apple II, to be exact. He's been reading about these machines in science fiction novels, imagining them as magical devices that can think and create. But when he finally sits down to use it, total letdown. It's basically an overpriced typewriter, a calculator with delusions of grandeur. Sure, it's neat, but life-changing? Not even close. It just sits there on his desk, a lonely box of circuits that feels, well, kind of pointless. Then, a few months later, something happens. Something that seems almost laughably simple. He takes this little plastic device called a modem and plugs his computer into a telephone line. And just like that, everything transforms. That boring little box suddenly becomes a portal. On the other side of that phone jack, an entire universe is waking up. It's buzzing with conversations, overflowing with ideas, humming with connections that feel both infinite and deeply personal. Right in that moment, he feels his life shift into a higher gear. That young writer was Kevin Kelly, who would become one of our sharpest observers of how technology shapes our lives. And that moment wasn't just a personal awakening. It was the true dawn of the digital age, the moment when computation married communication and changed everything. For the past 30 years, that marriage has been remaking the world we live in. A world where we're constantly connected, where information arrives instantly, where invisible forces push and pull our lives in ways we're only beginning to understand. Kevin Kelly has been watching this transformation from the front lines, first as a pioneer exploring this new digital landscape, then as someone helping to build it. His book, The Inevitable, isn't filled with wild predictions about flying cars or robot butlers. It's something more grounded and, honestly, more useful. Think of it as a map, one that charts the deep currents already shaping the next 30 years of our lives. He identifies 12 powerful forces, each named with a verb like becoming, flowing, and sharing. These aren't trends that might happen if we're lucky. Kelly argues they're inevitable, baked into the very DNA of technology itself. Here's what I want to offer you today. By the time we're done, these 12 forces won't just be concepts you understand intellectually. You'll start seeing them everywhere, in your morning coffee routine, in how your job is changing, in the way your kids interact with the world. And instead of feeling overwhelmed or anxious about the future, which, let's be honest, is pretty easy to do these days, you might feel something different. Excitement, maybe. Possibility, because the most amazing developments of this century are still ahead of us. And here's the thing. You're not late to the party. You're arriving right on time. Let's start with something you've probably experienced recently. You get a new phone, and for a while, it feels perfect. You spend hours customizing it, learning all its features, making it truly yours. But then, inevitably, an update arrives. Suddenly, the menus are different. That feature you loved? Gone. Now you're fumbling through basic tasks like a confused grandparent. Welcome back to being a newbie. This feeling, Kelly tells us, is our new permanent state. We're living in an era of becoming. Nothing ever gets finished anymore. Everything exists in constant flux. Your car downloads updates that literally change how it drives. Your favorite apps morph so often you barely recognize them. Products aren't solid objects anymore. They're ongoing processes. Every noun is turning into a verb. Think about it this way. In the past, you bought a hammer. That hammer was done, finished, complete. It would be the exact same hammer 20 years later. But today, we're shifting away from finished things and moving toward continuous services. Your car isn't just a car anymore. It's becoming a constantly evolving transportation service. Even something as basic as shoes is transforming into shoeing, with treads that morph and covers you can swap out. This endless churn of upgrades means we're all becoming perpetual newbies. Doesn't matter how old you are or how much experience you have, you'll spend the rest of your life playing catch-up. The technologies that will dominate our lives 3 decades from now? They haven't even been invented yet, and when they finally arrive, they'll change so fast you'll never fully master them before the next thing comes along. It can be frustrating, honestly. It creates what Kelly calls holes in our hearts. A decade ago, you didn't need a smartphone. Now you get genuinely angry when the Wi-Fi is slow. We keep inventing new desires, new itches that desperately need scratching. But Kelly actually celebrates this discontentment. It's quintessentially human. It's the engine that drives our creativity. This constant state of becoming isn't taking us to some perfect utopia where all problems are magically solved, or to a dystopian hellscape like in the movies. Instead, we're heading toward what he calls protopia. Protopia isn't a destination. It's a journey. It's a state where things are, on average, just a tiny bit better today than they were yesterday. Slow, incremental progress. Today's technological solutions will create tomorrow's problems, sure. But hidden in that cycle is a steady accumulation of benefits. That's civilization in a nutshell. It's not dramatic, it doesn't star in blockbuster movies, but it's what we've been building since we invented science. The main engine driving all this becoming is what Kelly calls cognifying, basically making everything smarter. He argues it's the most disruptive force we'll experience in our lifetimes. Remember the first industrial revolution? A handful of smart entrepreneurs got rich by taking ordinary tools, hand pumps, washing wringers, whatever, and adding electricity to them. They didn't invent electricity. They just figured out how to apply it. Kelly gives us a simple formula for the next 10,000 startups. Take anything and add artificial intelligence. Now, when we talk about AI, forget those Hollywood robots with human-like consciousness. Think of it more like a utility. Cheap, reliable, industrial-grade smartness running quietly behind everything. Just like you plug into the electrical grid for power, we'll soon plug into an AI grid for intelligence. We're going to take everything we've already electrified and cognify it. Take photography. Once upon a time, cameras were heavy machines with complex glass lenses. Today, the camera in your phone barely has any glass at all. The work those heavy lenses used to do is now handled by smart algorithms. Photography has been cognified. It's not really a thing anymore. It's a function that can be embedded in anything. Sunglasses, pins, cars, doorbells. This is going to happen to everything. Cognified laundry, where your clothes tell the washing machine exactly how they want to be washed. Cognified medicine, where an AI becomes the world's best diagnostician, available right on your phone. Cognified toys that act more like pets. Even cognified knitting, if you can imagine that. Anything you can think of can be improved by adding a little intelligence. Well, where is all this intelligence coming from? It's not being created in a single massive supercomputer somewhere. It's emerging from the network itself. When you use Google, you're not just getting answers. You're training its AI. Every search you type, every link you click, you're teaching the machine what you mean. The billions of searches we conduct daily are the fuel making the AI smarter. Here's the mind-bending part. Google isn't using AI to make its search better. It's using search to make its AI better. And this is where things get a little uncomfortable. We start thinking about robots taking our jobs. Kelly doesn't sugarcoat it. They will, but that's not the end of the story. It's actually the beginning of a new chapter. He reminds us that 200 years ago, 70% of Americans worked on farms. Today, automation has eliminated all but 1% of those jobs. But those displaced workers didn't just sit around unemployed. They filled hundreds of millions of new jobs that no 1800s farmer could have possibly imagined. Car mechanics, web designers, X-ray technicians, professional gamers. Before this century ends, 70% of today's occupations will also be replaced by automation. And this includes white-collar work. Any job dealing primarily with information and efficiency can be done better by a bot. So what's left for us humans? Kelly breaks it down into 4 categories. First, there are jobs robots will simply do better than us. Think of a pharmacist. A pill-dispensing robot in a hospital can fill prescriptions with literally 0 errors. No human can match that level of precision. We'll hand these tasks over to machines. Second, there are jobs humans physically can't do at all. No single person can search every web page on Earth in a fraction of a second. Every time you use a search engine, you're employing a robot to do something you're fundamentally incapable of. These are entirely new jobs we're giving to machines. Third, and this is the really interesting part, are the jobs we didn't even know we wanted done. Before cars existed, nobody in ancient Rome was dreaming of becoming a highway patrol officer or NASCAR driver. Our inventions create new occupations we never imagined. The bulk of new tasks created by automation will be tasks that only other automation can handle. Robots will create new jobs for robots. So finally, what's our job? Our job becomes figuring out what to do next. When machines handle all our basic work, we're freed up to ask deeper questions like, what are humans actually for? Our role will be inventing new things for robots to do. It's a task that will literally never be finished. This isn't a race against the machines. If we race against them, we'll lose every time. This is a race with the machines. In the future, you'll be valued based on how well you collaborate with bots. This new world of smart, connected things operates on completely different logic than the world of physical objects we grew up with, which brings us to the next force, flowing. The Internet, at its most basic level, is the world's largest copy machine. Any song, movie, or book that touches the network will be copied. Freely, endlessly, effortlessly. We can't stop it. This river of free-flowing copies is actually the foundation of our digital economy. This simple reality flips a fundamental law of commerce on its head. When copies of something become superabundant and free, they become worthless. In this new world, the only things that hold real value are the things that can't be copied. So what can't be copied? Trust, for one. You can't download trust. You can't fake it convincingly. It has to be earned over time. That's why we'll pay more for a brand we trust, even if the actual product is identical to a generic version. Kelly calls these uncopyable qualities generatives. They're values generated in the moment, in real time, that can't be stored or replicated. He identifies 8 of them that are, quote, better than free. Immediacy. Sure, you might find a free copy of a movie eventually, but you'll pay a premium to see it opening night. You're not really paying for the movie itself. You're paying for immediacy. Personalization. A free copy of a book is nice. But a version that's been customized to explain technical terms based on your specific reading history? That's better. You'll pay for that personalization. Interpretation software code might be free, but the user manual and expert support costs thousands. The code is only valuable when accompanied by guidance. Authenticity. You could get a free knockoff app, but you'll pay for an authentic copy from the official store to ensure it has no viruses or hidden malware. You're paying for peace of mind. Accessibility. You might already own all your favorite music, but you'll pay Spotify to manage it in the cloud, making it accessible anywhere on any device without you having to maintain it. Embodiment. A digital recording of a song is free, but seeing that band perform live, in person, that embodied experience commands a premium. The music is free. The experience is what you're paying for. Patronage fans genuinely want to pay creators. They get deep satisfaction from supporting people they admire. If it's easy and the money goes directly to the artist, people will happily pay for something they could technically get for free. And finally, discoverability. When there are millions of free songs, books, and movies, being found is incredibly valuable. We'll pay for filters, critics, curators, smart algorithms to help us discover the good stuff in an ocean of options. This shift from fixed, solid products to ever-flowing, liquid services is profoundly changing our relationship with stuff, which leads directly to the next force, accessing. Every year you probably own less of what you actually use. You access movies on Netflix without owning a single DVD. You stream music on Spotify without owning a single file. You use Uber without owning a car. Possession isn't as important as it once was. Access is everything now. Why is this happening? Kelly points to 5 deep technological trends. First is dematerialization. We're making better things with fewer physical materials. A modern aluminum can uses 1/5 the metal of a 1950s can. This happens because we're substituting heavy atoms with weightless bits. We're embedding intelligence into objects, making them behave more like software. And as they say in Silicon Valley, software eats everything. This leads naturally to on-demand services. We're an impatient species. The only speed that feels fast enough is instant. Companies like Uber disrupted entire industries, not just by being cheaper, but by being closer to real time. Now you can get an Uber for almost anything: laundry, flowers, lawn mowing, because a distributed network of freelancers can deliver services almost instantly, all coordinated by smart software. The third trend is decentralization. For centuries, society organized around central institutions, banks, governments, corporations. But cheap, ubiquitous communication lets us coordinate without central authority. The most radical example is Bitcoin, a currency that works without a central bank. Its trustworthiness isn't guaranteed by government, but by mathematics and a public ledger called the blockchain, verified by thousands of users simultaneously. If money can be decentralized, almost anything can. Fourth is platform synergy. The most powerful companies today, Apple, Google, Facebook, aren't just firms or marketplaces. They're platforms, creating foundations that let thousands of others build businesses on top. An app's success on Apple's App Store increases the iPhone's value, which attracts more app developers. In this kind of ecosystem, your success depends on others' success. Ownership gets complicated. Sharing and accessing become default modes. Finally, all this is enabled by clouds, colonies of millions of computers woven together to act as one. When you stream a movie or write a document in Google Drive, you're using the cloud. The cloud does the heavy computational lifting, allowing our personal devices to be thinner and lighter. Because our data lives in the cloud, it's not truly mine anymore, it's ours, a shared space where we collaborate and create together. All these forces, flowing, accessing, and constant becoming, are experienced through the primary portal of our age, the screen. This brings us to screening. For centuries, our culture was built on the logic of the printed page. We were people of the book. Reading books encouraged contemplative, linear thinking. Truth was delivered by authors and fixed permanently in ink. Today, we're people of the screen. We're surrounded by billions of them, in our pockets, on our desks, on our walls, even on our wrists. Screen culture is fundamentally different. It's a world of constant flux, of pixels and hyperlinks. Words no longer stay fixed. They move, morph, and mix with images. Instead of just reading, we're now screening. Screening includes reading, but also watching words, reading images, and interacting with text. Truth isn't delivered from on high anymore. It's assembled, piece by piece, by audiences themselves. This is profoundly changing how we think. Book reading strengthened our analytical skills. Screening nurtures rapid pattern making, connecting one idea with another in a flash. It's thinking perfectly adapted to the information torrent we face daily. And screens demand interaction. Books are passive objects. Screens respond to our touch, our gaze, even our emotions. Future screens will know what we're paying attention to. We'll interact with technology using our whole bodies, gestures, voice, eye movements. If something in the future doesn't interact with us, we'll consider it broken. This leads to what Kelly calls the universal library. When every book ever written gets digitized, they stop being isolated objects on shelves. They become a single liquid fabric of interconnected words and ideas. Every word in every book can link to every other word in every other book. Wikipedia is the first networked book, but eventually all books will weave into one great metabook. We won't just read it, we'll screen it, query it, and remix it. So in this new world, of fluid, interactive, intelligent media, how do we behave as people? This brings us to three forces describing our new social reality: sharing, interacting, and tracking. Sharing has become our default action. We share photos, updates, locations, and thoughts on an astronomical scale. Kelly calls this new collaborative spirit a form of digital socialism. But don't panic. This isn't your grandfather's political socialism. This is socialism without the state, a set of tools and attitudes promoting massive-scale cooperation and coordination. He describes a ladder of social engagement. It starts with simple sharing, like posting a photo. Then comes cooperation, where individual tags and likes create collective value, like a 3D model of the Eiffel Tower built from thousands of tourist photos. Next is collaboration, seen in open-source projects like Linux, where thousands of volunteers work together to build complex, high-quality products for free. Finally, there's collectivism, where 1 billion people on Facebook create content fueling a massive economy, paid not in money but in connection and community. This new crowd power is solving problems in previously impossible ways, especially through crowdfunding. Platforms like Kickstarter let fans directly finance creative works they want to see, bypassing traditional gatekeepers. The next evolution is equity crowdfunding, where fans can invest not just in products but in companies themselves. Sharing is a technology, and we've only begun exploring what it can do. As our world becomes more social and shared, it also becomes more immersive. This is the force of interacting. For decades, virtual reality has been a science fiction promise perpetually just around the corner. Now, thanks to cheap, high-resolution screens and motion sensors developed for smartphones, believable VR has finally arrived. Kelly argues that while presence, the unshakable sense you're physically somewhere else, will initially sell VR, its enduring power comes from interaction. In VR, we can interact with information and each other in ways impossible in physical reality. We can walk through buildings before they're built, practice surgical procedures risk-free, or hold meetings with photorealistic avatars of colleagues from around the globe. And this interactivity is spreading beyond VR into all our devices. Our screens are watching us back. They track our gaze to see what captures our attention. They can read our emotions and adapt content in real time. We're moving beyond keyboards and mice to interact with machines using our full bodies, hands, voices, even our physical presence. In the future, your body will be your password. The unique patterns of your heartbeat, your gait, your typing rhythm, all measurable. Combined, they create a biometric signature that can't be faked. Our interactions will become our identity. This relentless drive to interact with our world creates a significant byproduct, data, which brings us to perhaps the most controversial force, tracking. Anything that can be tracked will be tracked. This is perhaps the most unsettling of Kelly's inevitabilities, but he argues we can't stop it. A connected world's very nature is generating and recording data. We're already tracked in hundreds of ways daily. Our cars track driving habits. Our phones track location. Credit cards track purchases. Websites track every click. But it's not just corporations or governments watching us. We're eagerly tracking ourselves. We're becoming a culture of the quantified self, using wearable devices to track steps, sleep, heart rate. Some pioneers track hundreds of personal biological markers, using data to self-diagnose illnesses before symptoms appear. This self-tracking creates a new kind of scientific experiment, the N=1 experiment. Instead of studying thousands of people to find average results, you can study just yourself in minute detail to discover what works specifically for you. With enough data, you can establish a personal health baseline far more useful than any generic normal. Kelly acknowledges deep fears of a Big Brother society, a one-way panopticon where they watch us but we can't watch back. He argues our only path forward isn't stopping tracking but making it symmetrical. He calls this covalence, watching the watchers. Think of a small town. Your neighbor watches your every move, but you also watch her. there's mutual accountability. Today's problem is asymmetrical surveillance. We don't know who's watching, what they know, or how they're using information. Restoring that symmetry through technology and laws is our time's great challenge. Ultimately, Kelly says, we face a fundamental trade-off, like a slider bar. On one side, privacy and generic service. On the other, transparency and personalization. The more an institution knows about you, the more it can treat you as an individual. If you prefer remaining private and opaque, you must accept being treated as an average number. And here's the surprise. When given the choice, we consistently slide toward sharing. As he puts it, vanity trumps privacy. The human impulse to share, connect, and be known seems more powerful than our desire for privacy. So we have a world always becoming, cognified by AI, flowing with services, accessed through screens, built on sharing, interacting, and tracking. What are the new rules for success and creativity here? This brings us to the final forces. Remixing. In this digital realm, nothing gets created from scratch anymore. Real, sustainable growth, both economically and culturally, comes from rearranging existing resources to make them more valuable. All new technologies are combinations of earlier ones. The same goes for media. A tweet, a GIF, a podcast, a meme, all new genres remixed from older forms. Digital bits, supreme fungibility, allows them to be unbundled, manipulated, and recombined endlessly. Just as an author creates novels by remixing 26 letters, future creators will assemble new works from a vast, shared dictionary of images, sounds, and data. We write with words now. Soon we'll write with pixels. But in an infinite world of remixed creations, how do we find what matters? This is the challenge of filtering. Here's our time's great paradox. We have a library of everything, but not enough time to find anything. We desperately need help. We need filters. We're already surrounded by them. Recommendation engines on Amazon and Netflix predict what we'll like based on our behavior, and millions of others' behavior. These algorithms now drive a huge portion of all sales and engagement online. The danger, of course, is the, quote, filter bubble. If you're only shown more of what you already like, your world can become a narrow echo chamber. The challenge ahead is building smarter filters, ones that don't just give us more of what we like, but also surprise us, challenge us, and show us things we think we dislike but might learn to appreciate. Ultimately, all this filtering and cognifying leads to a profound shift. We're building a planetary machine that can answer almost any question we ask. Answers are becoming a commodity, instant, reliable, essentially free. In a world saturated with answers, what becomes scarce and valuable? A good question. This is the final force. Questioning. A good question is the seed of innovation. It's an engine creating new fields, new industries, new possibilities. Einstein's question, what would it be like to ride on a beam of light, launched relativity theory. A good question can't be answered immediately. It challenges existing answers. It creates new thinking territory. A good question, Kelly suggests, may be the last job machines learn to do. And ultimately, asking good questions is what humans are for. So where does all this lead? We're weaving together billions of human minds and countless machine processors into a single, planetary-scale system. Kelly calls this the hollows, the collective intelligence of all humans combined with all machines, collective behavior, plus nature's intelligence. This isn't science fiction fantasy. It's a very real, very complex organism waking up around us right now. We're living inside it. We're building it with every click, every link, every share. We're at the very beginning of the beginning. The changes can feel overwhelming, even chaotic. But they're not random. They're leaning in a clear direction, toward more becoming, cognifying, flowing, screening, accessing, sharing, interacting, tracking, remixing, filtering, and questioning. Thousands of years from now, historians will look back at our time, here at the third millennium's dawn, and see it as truly amazing. This was when planet Earth's inhabitants first linked themselves together into one very large thing. Future people will envy us. They'll wish they could have witnessed the birth we're living through right now. As we close the inevitable, it's easy to feel both exhilarated and a little dizzy. Kevin Kelly has given us a vocabulary for the future, a way to name the powerful, invisible currents reshaping our world. What strikes me most about this book is its profound optimism, not blind, naive optimism that ignores real dangers of surveillance, job displacement, or misinformation. Kelly tackles these challenges head-on, but his optimism is rooted in deep faith in process, in the slow, messy, but ultimately forward-moving nature of what he calls protopia. He gives us permission to let go of our fear of the future. He shows us that the anxiety we feel, the sense of always being a newbie, never quite catching up, isn't a personal failing. It's the defining condition of our time. And embracing it, rather than fighting it, is the key to thriving. The central message is empowerment. These 12 forces aren't destinies carved in stone. They're trajectories, the direction the river is flowing. We can't stop the river, but we can choose how to build our boat. We can choose to work with these forces, rather than against them. So how can you start doing that today? Let me offer a few simple ideas drawn from the book's spirit. First, embrace being a perpetual newbie. Next time you feel frustrated learning new software or navigating a redesigned app, take a breath. Remind yourself this feeling isn't incompetence. It's a sign you're living on the frontier. See it as an opportunity for curiosity and play, not a chore to endure. Second, start a small n=1 experiment. You don't need fancy gadgets. For 1 week, track just one simple thing in your life. How much water you drink. When you go to bed. How you feel after talking to a certain friend. Simply observing your life with intention will reveal patterns you never noticed. You'll start seeing yourself as a system you can understand and improve. Finally, practice asking better questions. The world is drowning in answers. Your greatest power lies in your ability to question. Next time you face a problem, don't just search for the answer. Ask, what if we approach this differently? Ask, why is this the way it is? Ask a question without an immediate answer. That's where real innovation begins. That was a summary of The Inevitable by Kevin Kelly. We've journeyed through the core ideas today, but here's the truth. A summary can only show you the map. The real adventure happens when you explore the territory yourself. A book's true magic lives in those quiet moments when a particular story or simple phrase connects with your experience in unexpected ways. This summary is a starting point, helping you decide if this journey is one you want to take. If anything we've discussed today sparked your curiosity, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see the future and your place in it. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and want to keep exploring ideas shaping our world, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It lets me know we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book. Let's keep growing together.